Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Again, excuse my background, it's just the way it's gonna be. My life is kind of a mess right now, but I'm doing my best, okay? So yes, welcome back to the channel, and today it is finally time, again, to talk about Halo Infinite's multiplayer beta launch, and kind of what I think about it. And to be honest, I have a lot of problems with it, but I'm having fun with the game finally. So when this dropped, I was pretty excited because I was hoping for quite a lot of changes from the flights, and unfortunately not a lot has changed. There's just a lot of additions that they've done. They've moved some things around the maps a little bit, like the grapple shots in a different spot on recharge, and the commando has been nerfed a little bit, but that's really it. And this is kind of where my disappointment starts. There's just a significant lack of content in the game right now, and that's really disappointing because this was one of the biggest criticisms with Halo 5 when it launched, was there was just not a lot of stuff to do besides Warzone campaign and ranked. Halo Infinite has a quick play playlist with a bunch of different game modes in it: Oddball, CTF, Slayer, and Strongholds. And that's it. There's no SWAT, there's no free-for-all, there's no way to filter what game mode you want to play, which is disappointing. There's no King of the Hill, there's no bomb game modes. I don't know why not. There's no snipers playlist, which I think would be really helpful because the sniper in this game is really difficult to use. And so with quick play, we're used to things, or at least personally, I'm used to things like Call of Duty. Every year for the past few years, they've had a quick play tab. And you click on that tab, and then you're able to edit what you want. If you want TDM, if you want hardcore TDM, or you want domination, or not capture the flag. It hasn't really been in Call of Duty recently, but you know what I mean, right? There's options there, and this is where a real big frustration with the game comes. Is it's a beta. You keep hearing that because that's what 343 has said, but at the same time, they have said that this is what they intended the multiplayer launch to be: feature complete with all the maps and modes and stuff like that. So it's confusing because there's no SWAT. Like, I don't like SWAT, personally, okay? I'm just glad there's Oddball at launch, but no SWAT is kind of baffling to me because SWAT is one of the most unique things that you can have in a Halo game. It is pretty much quintessential because it, it's using the shield system, or the lack thereof, to make an engaging game mode. And I may not personally like SWAT that much, but I know people that are really into it. And there's just no SWAT. There's no free-for-all, which, by the way, there is a HCS tournament, or event, happening in North Carolina, which, funnily enough, is where I am right now. I'm not going to the event, unfortunately, because I missed out on passes because I suck. But every admittance pass gets a free entry into the free-for-all tournament. That's great. That's cool. But there's no fucking free-for-all in the game. Like, I don't understand. If they were intending, even at launch, there probably wouldn't have been free-for-all. And this is baffling to me, because you can play custom games and you can play free-for-all, but there's no SWAT. Like, no dedicated SWAT. It blows my mind. There's no King of the Hill. And it's so frustrating because this is one of our biggest complaints with 5. There just wasn't enough game modes and content. There's no infection either, which, if we seriously have to wait 6 months to half a year, which is 6 months, for infection again, like we did with 5, I don't like that. That's really disappointing because it shows me that either they didn't learn their lesson or they didn't care. Okay? And it's frustrating because Big Team Battle, for example, is fun. Okay? I like it. In fact, it's probably the most relaxing mode to play, to just boot up and play it. but you keep getting these game modes that you don't necessarily want to play, and there's a huge, huge glaring problem with the sandbox, right? They keep pushing how this is the most expansive it's ever been or whatever, and vehicles are literally, I mean literally, drip fed to you. They are dropped in one at a time every, who knows, every 4 or 5 minutes, I don't know. And that's it. You have your basics like your warthogs and your mongooses and your ghosts, but there's no tanks that spawn default. There's no you know, flying vehicles that spawn by default, and it's like, why are we doing this? Okay, this literally feels like Warzone where it's like you're calling in the wreck but you're not, you're just waiting for your team to call in the wreck. And I think that's just baffling that these maps are pretty big maps. There's one of them that has like a turret on it. It's called like Deadlock or something. It's a big map, and it feels like ripe for vehicle gameplay, and all you have are warthogs and ghosts, and it's just like fucking Halo 1 had tanks and banshees in it, and Blood Gulch. It's just like, what are we doing here? Okay, what are we doing here? Are they doing this to like incentivize new players? Because that's why we have gun racks, by the way. Gun racks, they have intentionally said that they designed gun racks because they want people to understand how weapons spawn in Halo multiplayer. Okay, that's cool, I understand. But I don't like gun racks because they completely ruin the fucking aesthetic of a lot of these maps. Like, this brute fucking turret, this giant brute turret, has UNSC gun racks on it. That's weird, okay? I miss natural weapon placement, and even though you have weapon pads, like we had weapon pads in 5, and for arena maps, I guess it works, you know, it makes sense. It was pretty a nondescript thing. And we don't really have Covenant maps necessarily in this game yet. We have Brute maps, but that's because it's part of the campaign. Like, I guarantee that Deadlock, a lot of the big team battle maps feel like they're ripped out of the campaign to me, which is fine, you know, we've had that before, but again, that's one of the biggest criticisms with Halo Reach, is that a lot of its maps are pretty much directly pulled from the campaign, and they're not the best maps in the world. Like, I don't know a lot of people that think Reach has the best map pool in the series, at least personally, because I mean, unless you want to play sword based for the rest of your life, I don't know. So that's a problem. And the maps in general, I think, are pretty okay. I think there are some standout maps. I think Recharge is probably my favorite map in the game. Behemoth, this is another thing that they wanted to bring back from older Halo games, which I can appreciate, is 4v4 vehicle-based maps. And this is another issue I have with the game. There are a lot of new weapons to deal with vehicles, like the dynamo grenades, the shock rifle, things like that, or the what do they call it, the disruptor pistol, things that are able to EMP vehicles. However, in this game, they took out the ability for the plasma pistol to EMP vehicles. And at first, I was kind of like, okay, you know, they're adding in new things to help counter that. But on the small maps where you have a shock rifle, maybe, a disruptor, maybe, and a plasma pistol, maybe, but you have 2 ghosts or 1 ghost, I think that's a problem. There's no way to counteract the vehicles easily. At least in my experience, because especially on Behemoth, which is this really big map, all things considered, like it doesn't feel like a big map, but like the sides of the map are pretty big. You could just get killed with a ghost because the spawns are weird and stuff like that. And I understand the vehicle is supposed to have the advantage because they were smart enough to go run after it. But after you die to the same ghost like 4 times in a row, it's a little annoying. So that's a problem. I think the plasma pistol, while I can understand what they were trying to go for, maybe in like smaller arena maps, it should be able to EMP or something. I don't know. Because in the campaign, it's not going to be able to, I assume, which, I don't know. I don't want to talk about campaign yet. I'm still worried about campaign on the gameplay level, but we'll get there. And so, yeah, with that, it's a little weird, because vehicles are also just kind of weird in this game, and I hate to be complaining so much about this game, because I have been having fun with it, but there's just clear things where I'm like, what the hell? Like, why? What is this? Okay. So vehicle physics are really just bizarre in this game. So the Warthog is really fast, and I kind of like that. Okay. These maps, especially the big team battle maps, are pretty big, and it's nice to get around them pretty quickly. But there's a map called, it's like Launch or whatever. It's like that Halo Reach map, the Countdown. But it has like a rocket on it, and it's usually a one-sided objective map, like one flag, probably one bomb if one bomb is in the game. And there's this one like ramp that you take with your Warthog, and then there's a turn. And I swear to God, every time I play on this map, I am in the Warthog with people, and we gain air, and we just like are floating. And I understand Halo has pretty floaty physics, okay? But the vehicles in this game, at the like slightest incline, can just flip over, and it's weird because it doesn't feel right. So yeah, vehicles are a little jumpy, and I do hope they could tone things down, like give them a little more weight or something. But maybe that'll affect speed or something. I don't really know. So yeah, that's a little bizarre. There's a lot of times where I've just flipped around in a Warthog when it felt like I really shouldn't have. Okay, controls. Controls is something I really want to talk about because a lot of people are having issues with it, okay? So, you see this thing that I'm holding here? This is a controller, okay? Halo has been on console since, pretty much since I was born, 2001, and there's a little thing called aim assist that you can use on a controller. And I know I'm being a little fucking snarky here, but this game feels fucking awful on controller, and it's disappointing because this is a console-bred shooter, and I understand they need to balance the game between controller and mouse, okay? I understand, and it's a hard thing to do, but, you know, you have games like Fortnite, right, where that game shouldn't feel good on a controller, and shouldn't be a game that should even be possible on controller, but it is, and if anything, the controller, you're almost at an advantage using. When I play Fortnite, for example, I do keyboard and mouse because it's the most comfortable. But, you know, we live in this era where games are so connected, right? With so many different platforms that it's weird that controller is such an issue. The biggest tip is to turn down the dead zones in the settings and up the look acceleration, because apparently FOV can affect your sensitivity as well as frame rate, apparently. I just hope this isn't a heavy aim situation where for years we're literally like scratching our heads like, what, okay, why is the aim doing this, why is it doing that? And then on keyboard and mouse, I've been trying to use keyboard and mouse, and it feels pretty good. I suck on a keyboard and mouse for this game, apparently. I just cannot aim for the life of me because I'm just not used to it. My muscle memory is ingrained into this controller, right? Like strafing, everything. Shooting, grenading, jumping, crouch strafing, literally Gandhi hopping, everything is ingrained into this controller. And I feel like I'm being not punished for using this, but it's a struggle trying to use this. It's really stiff and awkward, and I don't like it. I played a majority of my matches last night on controller, and there is a significant advantage. I will admit that, but the game just doesn't feel comfortable on controller. And another thing I want to talk about is a lot of the new weapons. Okay, there's a ton of new weapons, and this was one of my biggest concerns. You can go back to my other videos. Excuse me. This is one of my biggest concerns going into this game, was a lot of the weapons. When you add in all these weapons that have never been in the sandbox before, you create problems, okay? You create things that were never an issue before, or you just add guns that don't fit into the gameplay loop. And a lot of these guns that I've picked up, like the Disruptor, or the Stalker Rifle, I think it's called, or the Shock Rifle. It's like, why in the world would I pick these up over a sniper or a battle rifle? And that's a problem, because this is the problem we had with the Promethean weapons, where it's like, why would I pick up a bolt shot in Halo 5 when I have the pistol or the assault rifle. Um, and this is another thing, like the bolt shot, for example, was a tracking weapon. Tracking weapons in this game are not good. Okay, I mentioned the plasma pistol earlier. I think the plasma pistol sucks in this game. There is no reason to pick it up. It's maybe good in close range, in like territories or strongholds or whatever, but in long range, kiss the plasma pistol goodbye, because that gun is not good. I think I've hit people like once or twice with it, and I've picked it up quite a few times. Same thing goes for the pulse rifle or the pulse carbine. This to me is the weirdest gun in the game. I've used this thing in the training modes. I've used this thing against bots. I've spawned in with it again in custom games to try to get used to it. I do not understand how this gun works. A lot of people are saying it's a long-ranged gun, but there's not really good like feedback when using this gun. It feels kind of weak. It's mainly designed to bring shields down. I understand that, so maybe you use it in combination with the battle rifle. But it's hard to visually see. Like when you shoot this thing, your screen like gets like this blue. It's just hard to see in front of you when you're using it. The disruptor is a fun gun, but again, it's like why don't I just use the assault rifle? Because there's this new thing where you can like EMP enemies and it like chains. And I still have a challenge that I haven't completed because I suck apparently. But no, there's like a challenge where you have to shock chain enemies, and at first I'm like, okay, what the hell is this? What is shock chaining? But it's you have to kill someone with that like energy effect that you can get with like the disruptor and stuff like that. The Stalker Rifle is another one. It's like a 4 or 5 shot kill on the body, and I think it's a 4 shot. No, it's like a 6 shot kill on the body. I don't know. It seems pretty strong, but it's slow. And it's like, if I'm spawning in competitive with a battle rifle, I'm just going to use the battle rifle. And I don't know, the Stalker Rifle I think feels like the replacement for the light rifle, I think, but again, it just doesn't impress me. The Cinder Shot, for example, is a gun that I've not been able to use a lot because it's not on a lot of maps. And this is a problem that I'm having with the game. They're trying to push these new weapons, which I can understand. Okay, the shotgun is a brand new version of the shotgun, and to be honest, I kind of like it. Okay, I was worried that I wasn't going to, but I kind of like this shotgun. It's fun. I do, of course, miss the one shot because that's just classic Halo. But I'm getting used to the shotgun. And then you have the Heat Wave, which during the flights I thought was trash. Either they changed it or I got better, but I find it a lot easier to use, especially the secondary fire mode where it's like vertical and not horizontal. I find that a lot easier to use. And then like the Cinder Shot, for example, I don't think it's very good either. Because it like sucks you in and it's just weird. So yeah, that is a problem, I think, is a lot of the new weapons just aren't working for me. They're not clicking. They're hard to understand, hard to get a grasp of. And that's not good, because Halo is a game where you pick up the gun and you almost instantly know how to use it, right? Plasma weapons take down the shields, and then you melee, or you switch weapons. But now there's like energy weapons that do shield damage as well. As it's just weird, and there's not a lot of returning favorite guns like the plasma rifle and the beam rifle and stuff like this, and it's a little worrying because I just know that they're going to be drip feeding us content like they did in 5. Like, you remember when the Halo 2 battle rifle came out, and they treated it as like this big deal. Same with the Combat Evolved pistol and the Brute plasma rifle, and it's just like, I don't want to go through this again, because this is a problem I have with the Battle Pass, and now I'm going to talk about progression. But the Battle Pass itself is Halo Reach themed. Okay, am I the only one that's just sick of that by this point? Okay, we had the Memories of Heroes of Reach, no, Memories of Reach, it was called in Halo 5. That was like 6 years ago, 5 years ago at this point, 4 years ago. And it's like, cool, but okay, at that point I can understand, Halo 5, they wanted more better armors and stuff like that. And, remember Reach, it's a cool game. And then MCC came out on PC with Halo Reach. and the entire customization was back. And so playing Infinite, it feels like I'm playing Halo Reach customization, and it's like we went through this already. Why are we doing it again for like the third time if you've been consistently playing Halo? So that's weird. I can understand from like a new player perspective if they've played like 1 or 2 Halo games. It's cool to have the Reach armor because the Reach armor looks good. There's no doubt about it. The Reach armor looks really good. But a lot of the armor in the Battle Pass is just Halo Reach. That's fine, but it's just, as someone that's been playing Halo since I could hold a controller, it's a little awkward because I feel like I've been through this before. Okay, progression. So the other day they released a hotfix where you get 50 XP every match, no matter what. And that is not enough, okay? Because on top of that, you have all these challenges that are... They've also changed the challenges, but the challenges are not great, okay? Some of them are like, use the disruptor. Okay, whatever. But some of them are like, play... What is it? Get a... Like the shock chain. It's like, what the hell? How am I supposed to do this? But apparently you can get it pretty easy with the dynamo grenade or whatever. But progression is not fun in this game because you have to either complete challenges or play a game and you get 50 each. There's no like performance-based XP, there's nothing. And so progression is really slow. I bought the Battle Pass day 1, you know, and I'm like level 10, which isn't bad. I've definitely progressed faster since the hotfix. But customization itself isn't the best, okay? Coatings are still a huge problem with this game, and I knew they were going to be, okay? I knew coatings were going to suck ass, and they're not great, okay? Because they suck, okay? So for people that have played the game between the early launch and I think December 8th or something, or the 23rd, I don't know, for the anniversary of Halo, you get a special green coating for your Spartan. And I shit you not, it doesn't look any different than the default green coating. It's just baffling. Baffling. Because people are already clowning on this, but like there was this one that's like cadet gray or something, and it looks no different than the default gray. And it was in the shop. It's just like, what the fuck are we doing? I just knew coatings were going to be terrible because it literally limits the player. Because my color scheme in Halo is blue and red, okay? And there is a white, blue, and red, but as far as I can tell, there's no blue and red. So I'm fucked. I've mostly been using the competitive skins right now because it's just what I like. I like how they look. I like supporting my favorite teams, stuff like that. Shout out to Envious. I'm excited for the season, but yeah. Another funny thing about customization is weapon charms. This isn't a problem. I just think it's really funny. They fucking spaz out when you shoot or change guns or melee. They just wiggle about. It's pretty funny. So, okay. I've been pretty negative on the game, and unfortunately, I'm not in love with this game. Even during the flights, I just wasn't in love with this game. And that's disappointing because we've been waiting for this game for so long. The flight started, I had issues with the game, and now we're finally here, and I still don't love it. I'm having fun with it, but I don't love it. So, how do I think they can improve the game? Well, number one, progression, okay? Please, for the love of God, make the progression better. They say they're going to, and I just really hope they do a performance-based thing like MCC, or I don't know, like just make it better. Game modes and playlists. I swear if we go through this shit again, okay, where it takes months for Assault to get into the game, and then for it to not even be a fucking playlist. Do you remember that with Halo 5 when Assault finally came out and it was in matchmaking for like half a month and then they took it out? And it's just like, what the fuck are we doing? I don't understand, but hey, my boy Oddball's in the game, which is pretty cool. I'd like to see King of the Hill come back because I think King of the Hill would be a lot of fun. Close range in this game is by far my favorite part of the game. minus meleeing. Melee fights are weird. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's not supposed to be enemy collision. But there are tons of clips out there on Twitter and Reddit and Instagram. I know, Instagram, Omega lol. But there's a lot of clips out there where people are meleeing each other, and they're on other teams, so they're not supposed to go through each other, but they do. It's bizarre. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if it's just inconsistent. But that should not be a thing, okay? And this is just where my mind is just fucking blown, because it's just like Halo 3, there were no problems like this. And even Halo 2 had a hellish development cycle. Yeah, you can argue that game's kind of buggy and glitchy. But the multiplayer, despite the button combos and you know, map jumps, it's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand game development, where we're at a point where we cannot recreate an experience from 2004. I don't know, okay? I don't know. Another thing that's kind of weird is the oddball is not a one hit, which I haven't really heard a reasoning for why they decided to make it two hit. I don't know. It wasn't that way in Halo 1 and 2. It was a two hit, or excuse me, it was that way in Halo 1 and 2. It was a two hit, but in Halo 3 and beyond, it was a one hit. So yeah, I don't know. That's a little weird. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, the game has problems, and I'm glad people are having fun with it, but I think my honeymoon phase with the game ended during the flights, because I played the game for almost 50 hours during the flights, and I'm almost to that point now with the game. I'm at like 27 hours, so on Steam from the launch. So I don't know if I'm being overly critical, or if this game has a lot of problems, which I think it does, because it is fun, and I'm having fun playing with friends, but I'm just not in love with it yet, which is a shame, because I really, really was excited for this game, and on launch, it just has a lot of problems, man. So yeah, I don't know. This video has gone on long enough, but I want to thank you guys for watching. I really do want to be promoting. Yeah, I want to be promoting. I want to be producing a lot of Halo content now that the game is finally out. Halo and Marvel is kind of where I'm thinking I want to direct my channel. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Have you played Halo Infinite yet? Are you enjoying it? Do you have problems with it? Because Lord knows I have problems with it. I'm sure there was things in this video I forgot to mention, but that's the way of life. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, of course, thank you for watching, everyone. And of course, as always, stay strong, Spartans.